Hey kids, we're a couple of annoyed grunt boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, we're the podcast that explores the American animated sitcom The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest ones when they come out. Why do we do it like that? Well, an entity known as the Wheel of Random has trapped us and forced us to do that in that fashion. And also, there are a ton of other podcasts to explore the quote-unquote golden age of The Simpsons. I say we because I'm one annoyed grunt boy named Steve, and with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy,
Craig. I know this is your episode, but I just gotta interject with something. I would never interject you, by the way.
Of course not.
Happened. It's come down to this, Steve. Our intros.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're discussing what we should talk about, and we drew a blank. So we had to go to... I can't say Steve, you could say it.
Reddit.
We had to subject ourselves to Reddit just for our intro.
Yeah.
But I saw this, and actually this was planned, guys. I'm not making this up. But have you ever been on Reddit, like on a lot of the TV subreddits? They do this like Survivor game where they'll have the list of characters. It's like, hey, who's your least favorite all the way to like the favorite. So you eliminate characters or seasons of the series or even episodes. And someone on the Simpsons subreddit posted the same thing for season 1, the original 13, as I like to call them. So I thought Steve and I could do Survivor season 1 on the intro of this podcast. I know we're not supposed to talk about the first 10 seasons, but it's the intro. I mean, it's Simpsons. We could do this.
Yeah, it's totally fine. All right, so let's begin.
I have the list here of all episodes. Quickly, the title, Simpsons Roasting on Open Fire. That's, of course, the Christmas episode.
Next, we have Bart the Genius. Of course, everybody knows that, where he becomes a genius.
Then Homer's Odyssey. No, not about his mid-sized minivan from the 90s. But it's the one where Homer, does he try to kill himself?
Yeah.
Ends up like, he becomes the safety inspector in the 3rd episode. Okay.
For number 4, we have There's No Disgrace Like Home, where we meet Marvin Monroe, and, they think that they're a horrible family, so they go to a psychologist instead of getting a comfy chair.
Bart the General is the inversion of Nelson, and then the bullies.
Yes.
And Bart goes to war against the bullies. Yep. All right. And we meet Herman.
Oh, yes. Next, we have Moaning Lisa, where, Lisa gets sad, and Marge tells her it's okay to be sad sometimes.
And then Call of the Simpsons. The Simpsons get an RV and go into the wild, and hilarity ensues.
The introduction of Albert Brooks. Next, we have the Telltale Head, in which Bart, as a prank and to impress the bullies, cuts off the statue of Jebediah Springfield's head.
A.K.A. John Schwartzwelder's head.
That's right.
Then we got Life in the Fast Lane. Al Brooks, of course, playing the bowling guy. What was his name? Jacques?
Yes.
Homer, Marge's birthday episode.
Yes. Next, we have Homer's Night Out, in which... Homer goes to a bachelor party and watches a girl dance, and that sends the town in an uproar because Bart took a picture of it.
Oh, boy. Ooh, scandalous. Next up, we got the Crepes of Wrath. It's the student exchange program where Bart goes over to France, and then an Albanian boy comes to steal secrets from Homer.
And then we have Krusty Gets Busted, in which Krusty is framed, and we begin this saga of Sideshow Bob.
And then the season finale, but oddly, the first episode that's ever produced for The Simpsons, Some Enchanted Evening. Penny Marshall, of course, playing the babysitter who's actually going to rob the Simpsons house.
Yes.
And that's season 1. This game is, you just have to say which one's your least favorite, and then we go on and so forth. And so I guess we're coming up with the top 13 of season 1, and we could do this in a couple minutes. I hope you guys didn't change the channel or put the speed up to times 5. If so... let's even screw with him, Steve. Let's talk in 0.5.
Okay, let's talk about season 1.
I can't do this. All right, you first. What's your least favorite from season 1?
Oh, boy. There's No Disgrace Like Home is going to be my 13, just because it really messes with the tone of The Simpsons, because... the whole idea is that Homer's embarrassed of his family, and that just doesn't seem right. Because that's the one where they have the family part, or the company party, and Marge gets drunk, and that always felt weird to me. Like, It's just that I know that they're still developing a tone in season 1, but I just feel like it's not what The Simpsons are about. So that's my first to go. What about you, Craig?
I like that. I was going to say maybe Homer's Odyssey for the fact that it's really depressing and Homer's like literally going to kill himself.
Yeah.
I think you make the good point. Let's get rid of There's No Disgrace Like Home.
I think you might be right with Homer's Night Out.
I meant Homer's Odyssey.
Or Homer's Odyssey.
But Homer's Night Out is up there with me as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Homer's Night Out. It's hard because these episodes do mean a lot to me, and they all are very dear. But Homer's Night Out, I think just because, just the general uproar, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
I guess there is a good message in, like, Bart meeting Princess Casimir, but I just feel like it just doesn't work for me. So yeah, that's number 12 for me.
Yeah, let's just put Homer's Odyssey and Homer's Night Out as the next ones, because you're close on that one, right?
Yeah.
I got to say, out of, I have to say, I might be called The Simpsons. It's either that or Some Enchanted Eve.
I was going to vote for Some Enchanted Evening because...
I'll agree, yeah.
It's like the first produced, and you can definitely see that. It's just visually not an appealing episode, which, you know, I know they were still working out the kinks and everything, but also I just feel like it's a clunky transition from the Tracy Ullman shorts to the Simpsons as we know and love them today. Okay. I just feel like it's not there yet.
All right, where are we going next? As I said, call The Simpsons. The reason why I think that one for me, it's frustrating, like looking at this family, like everything goes wrong, and I know that's the whole point. But I felt so bad watching this episode. Like, I feel so bad for this family.
That's true. I think I agree with you there. It is a little rough.
Because they're in the outdoors.
Yeah. And they're
But you got Albert Brooks is great, yeah. What's next?
See, this is where it gets hard for me because these are all classic episodes.
Yeah.
This might be unpopular. I'm going to say Krusty Gets Busted for me.
Okay. It's either that one or... Actually, it's The Telltale Head. That is it for me, I think.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing is, like, I'm trying to think what I had watched out of them. So actually, I'm going to change it to The Crepes of Wrath. I think that's what's going for me.
Okay.
I like the ending with Bart, but it's one of those episodes that I actually feel bad for him.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think The Crepes, Telltale Head are up there. And, maybe this might be sacrilege. Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and maybe it's just because it's a Christmas episode, but of the ones that we haven't picked yet, that one was kind of where I'm leaning next, because if I'm sitting down to watch a season 1 episode, that's not going to be the one that I reach for.
You're right. You're skipping that one. It's almost like I would put that one as 13 because I'm only watching that in Christmas time. It's not like, oh, it's May 13th. I better watch Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We still got like Life in the Fast Lane. We got Moaning Lisa, Bart the General, Bart the Genius. Where are we at here?
I think if I have to like put those 4 in an order, and I'm just going to do this rapid fire, Life in the Fast Lane, Moaning Lisa, Bart the Genius, and number 1 is Bart the General. For me.
I think you're right. So it just proves that the best episodes of season 1 are Bart-centric episodes. Mm-hmm. And that's why the show should be called Bart the Simpson and Homer 2 featuring Maggie.
Exactly.
That's what it's called.
And I think that we've all learned that Bart and Homer are the stars of the show.
And with that, let us know what you guys think of season 1.
Yeah, that's our ranking, and we hope you enjoyed it. And I want you to think about your own ranking and keep it to yourself. But now let's jump ahead in time to the future, all the way to the year 2013, specifically to April 14th, when the episode that we're talking about today first aired. Craig, what was the number 1 movie in the box office?
42, based off of Jackie Robinson.
And it's the answer to everything.
Hey, this is, timing-wise, the movie 42, and baseball, that it was just announced that the Major League Baseball is going to be adding all the Negro League stats into Major League Baseball, because they were playing at the same time and playing the same sport. Mm-hmm. Because they were black, they couldn't play in the MLB, so why not, right? American pastime, include all the professional American. Anyways, no problem there. But I remember, speaking of Reddit, when that was announced, I was like, I'm just going to check the baseball subreddit and see how this is going. Whew. Y'all racist out there.
You're saying there's problematic racist people on Reddit?
like who gives a shit, right? Yeah, these people. You just can't have any nice things.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Honestly, today is this, I never saw this one.
I didn't either.
I probably should,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a baseball guy. But, look, the late, great Chadwick Boseman played Jackie Robinson. You got Indiana Jones himself. Harrison Ford is in this. Steve, can we review this on our Patreon? If we ever have a Patreon, I'll let you know that I think we can, because I'm sure one of the actors from the movie's been on The Simpsons. Did Chadwick ever do a voice speak before he passed?
Not that I'm aware of.
We know Harrison Ford hasn't.
Did
He's a
Alan...
Family Guy guy.
Yeah, of course. Unless the fighting chicken. Alan Tudyk, he could have done.
You would think Alan Tudyk, he's been in a voice of everything ever, but was he a voice on The Simpsons?
He was. He voiced Itchy and Scratchy in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The Simpsons movie?
Yeah.
Well, I did not know that. All right, so we can review 42.
Oh.
But can we listen to the Billboard hot songs, like the 100s, the alternatives, and countries and dance, Steve?
So we have, for the number one Hot 100 Billboard song, Thrift Shop by Malcolm Moore and Ryan Lewis featuring Wands. Big hit, number one.
I get Macklemore and Alan Thicke's son confused.
Okay, yeah. Robin
What's his
Thicke.
name? Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's Thrift Shop. This is that one with the Emily Ratajkowski one, right? Where she's dancing around topless. But no, that's the other. That's the other guy.
Yeah. My rule of thumb is the one that is talking about going to thrift shops is Thrift Shop.
Well, I was like, well, maybe because she's dancing naked in that movie, she needs clothes, so she has to go to the thrift shop.
That's a good point. Now, I rescind my sarcasm. That's fair.
And I should know Macklemore's from Washington, state of Washington.
Yeah.
I should know this.
And he has a great song about the importance of, Yeah, no, he wrote a song recently about the struggles in Palestine, and it's, I think political rap is usually kind of dorky, and it's a little dorky, but the message is very good.
Ooh, can we play a game of political rap? The political rap is a happy rap.
I'm George Washington here to say.
Speaking of Macklemore, born in Seattle, or born in a suburb of Seattle, it was really weird when I was in Seattle a while ago in the hotel. I turned the TV on in the morning, and I turned like Scooby Doo's on or something, like an old. I thought it was an old Scooby Doo, but it was like a new Scooby Doo, and it was really weird because I'm in Seattle, and it was an episode where the Scooby Gang goes to Seattle to see a Macklemore concert.
That's really weird.
Yeah, Scooby Doo and Guess Who, and it wasn't bad. Like that episode, I'm like, not a bad Scooby Doo. It's all like those classic ones with Scooby Doo, like in the 70s, where they meet like Batman and Robin and other celebrities. It was good. Good
nice
show. Anyways, why are we talking about that? I don't know. Steve, we're almost done. Where's the music at?
So the alternative song was Radioactive by Imagine Dragons, which is All You Can Do with Dragons. The number one song was Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker of Hootie and the Blowfish. And the number one song was the Harlem Shake.
Shack.
Yes, the Harlem Shake Shack by Bauer.
Jack Bauer, E24. He big hit.
That's a reference to our Hiss Pigs out there.
Okay. I didn't actually know Wagon Wheel. Sorry, Darius. But all those I knew. I knew at the time.
Me too.
Wow. Cool. And they're fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Radioactive is like an addictive or earworm, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Earworm. Thrift Shop, that's an earworm. Harlem. Yeah. It's like the wagon wheel's like, I don't want a wagon wheel again.
I only want to be with you.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I think
I don't want a wagon wheel again. Okay.
All right. So today we're talking about what animated women want, in which Homer tries to fix things with Marge, who gets tired of his behavior. Meanwhile, Milhouse, inspired by A Streetcar Named Desire, tries to attract Lisa with a bad boy persona.
Ooh.
Alrighty, let's give it a watch, and we'll be right back.
There'll be peace and good brotherhood, crystal blue persuasion.
And we're back. Today we're talking about What Animated Women Want, the 17th episode of the 24th season. It originally aired on April 14th, 2013. It is episode 525 in the show's run. Your nerd code is RABF08. It was written by J. Stewart Burns, directed by Stephen D. Morn, and your showrunner is Al Jean.
All right, Mr. Burns. He's written 27 episodes of The Simpsons. This is the 9th that we've reviewed. And Steve, I'll let you know that Mr. Burns, we could review all of his episodes.
Excellent.
I mean, we should just keep calling him Mr. Burns. Enough of this J. Stewart, right?
Mm-hmm. And Jay's not even a first name.
Yeah, it's a middle name.
Exactly. Unless you're Jay Sherman.
Right. Which Matt Groening doesn't like to talk about.
Of course not. It stinks.
When I was looking back on Reddit, they were talking about, I don't know what the subject was, but I'm sorry, Mr. Burns, sidetrack here, reminding me of that episode with Jay Sherman, A Star is Burns. Like, Matt Groening himself is like, hates that episode. What? And I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Huh.
Apparently he was pissed because Al Jean was trying to promote The Critic, and he didn't want that. He didn't want The Simpsons to be like, here's another TV show that you can watch.
But, like, there's so many people, there's so much crossover between the two shows.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, at the time, like, there was a glut of, like, animated shows in prime time, and those were, like, the two that were consistently good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Family Dog.
Yeah. Like, even on the DVD commentary, he's not there. And this is back when, in all the DVD commentaries, Matt's in all of them except for that episode.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I remember it was a Reddit post about the only episode Julie Cavalier didn't do with voice Marge was Krusty Gets Canceled, because she was mad and she opposed the fact that there was all these celebrity guest stars doing voices.
Oh.
That was just egregious.
Mm-hmm.
But now look at The Simpsons, like,
right.
Every other episode there's like 3 guest voices.
Yeah. Like 3 years later, NSYNC would be on the show, then Britney Spears, and then, like,
yeah,
everybody.
She wasn't upset at the fact that, like, a celebrity doing a voice of a character. It's like how much we talk about how, like you just said, oh, here's Britney Spears playing Britney Spears.
Gotcha, yeah.
If it's Bryan Cranston playing a character, then it's fine. But if he's playing Bryan Cranston, then...
I feel like she, more so than other cast members, is more protective of the voice. Because I know that, like, she would be on Letterman, and she had been on Letterman several times for her TV work, but she won't do the voice on a talk show. Like, you see Harry Shearer or Dan Castellaneta on, like, Conan, and they'll bust into Homer or Wiggum or whatever just at the drop of a hat. But Julie refuses to. She won't do the Marge voice, like, live, because she doesn't want to ruin the image of Marge. So she finds it to be a little precious, I think.
Which I totally respect that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, on the opposite side, you'll see, like, Nancy Cartwright on her TikToks, like, going up to, like, some kid at Jamba Juice and like, hey, do you know who I am? Kid's like, I don't know. Here's your drink.
Yeah.
And she'll start talking like Bart. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Here's your drink. Bart, oh yeah, that's that cartoon that my grandparents watched. So that was a weird sidetrack about J. Stewart Burns all the way to, because Stars Burns. How did we get there, Steve? Oh, Mr. Burns.
That's right.
Jay Sherman. Okay. Hey, look, there's other things that he's written, of course, some Beavis and Butthead and Futuramas and Happily Ever After. The ones that we have reviewed, we did Holidays of Future Past, Days of Future Future, Simpsonorama, Dogtown, Flanders Ladder, Miseducation of Lisa Simpson, Treehouse of 430. Right off this episode, and The Tipping Point from season 35.
Yeah.
The last one that he wrote, and of ours that we reviewed. Only a couple episodes. We got into it. You were talking earlier, too, about a little comment about Jay's not even a real name, and it's a middle name. And then also with J. Stewart Burns always writes those future episodes of The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it'd be funny if Bart named his kid JJ with the middle name J. So it'd be JJJ.
I like that. That's funny. Yeah. One more thing about J. Stewart Burns that we've mentioned before is that he is the game runner of the Tapped Out game. And I have a feature that we'll get to later on in this episode that I'll bring up from time to time.
Sounds wonderful. Is it a well-produced feature? Do we have a jingle for it, like all of our other features?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to our engineer Milo and see what he came up with. But this was still in beta testing, so because I am a beta cuck, so everything I do is beta testing.
Well, hopefully engineer Milo comes up with something. If he doesn't, we forgive him.
That's right. But we'll begin with a couch gag, and we see a familiar green screen that shows the periodic table of elements. I've seen this somewhere. And then a wisp of yellow smoke billows into the air, revealing Marge sitting on the couch, nonchalantly sipping a cup of coffee. She then puts on a Kiss the Cook apron and begins to bake as Crystal Blue Persuasion by Tommy James and the Shondells plays. As she stirs the blue batter, Homer sneaks a taste wearing Heisenberg-esque fedora and shades. She pops the cupcakes in the oven, then frosts them with blue icing, and tops them with some blue sprinkles. She places the treats in a secure briefcase, which Bart takes. As he leaves the house, Homer, who is sleeping on the couch, is awoken by the aroma. Then, at a church bake sale, Marge sells Milhouse a cupcake for $1 as Homer watches from his car through binoculars. Back in the kitchen, Marge uses a bill counter to add up her profits, a cool $50. As she bundles it and tosses it with other stacks of cash, the camera zooms out to show Walter White and Jesse Pinkman in live action on the sofa in their yellow suits after a hard day of cooking, enjoying a beer and watching The Simpsons.
Is it weird that at this date that we're recording in 2024, that the last episode of Breaking Bad was 11 years ago?
Wow.
And is this, because they say they're the names of the actors in the credits, Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. This wasn't from an episode, right? Because I remember there was, the episodes where they were cooking in people's houses using the tents.
Right.
So this was just like, hey, can you film this thing for a Simpsons?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. This was just like inserted a Breaking Bad shot into the... Because they don't say anything.
Right.
So is this like the beginning of like, let's put Breaking Bad into a parody? They could parody themselves. Like Breaking Bad, even 10 years old, which is still weird.
Mm-hmm.
The last episode, over 10 years old, 11 years old. Like one of my top 5 TV shows of all time.
Sure.
I love the Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul averse.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so weird that there's been like so many parodies that they've done.
Yeah.
Like the Pop Chips commercials. I'm like, it feels like they're tainting this wonderful product of Breaking Bad, not Pop Chips.
Right, no.
Suck.
Yeah, they do. But it does cheapen like the allure of the show because it is so good. And so if you see like Jesse Pinkman saying like, yeah, bitch, for, maxi pads or whatever, it's not the same.
It'd be like if Lost, you're seeing the characters from Lost, the TV show, like Locke and Hurley,
Yeah.
hawking Doritos.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because that is what I've been watching lately.
Oh, really?
Because I never finished it, and my wife, Laura, is a big fan of the show. Plus, she grew up in Hawaii where a lot of it was filmed. So she would see these people, the cast, like out and about all the time. And she also knows like the filming sites. So yeah, we just finished season 1. We're starting season 2. And yeah, it's good. I mean, I don't need to tell people about the ups and downs of Lost because it premiered 20 years ago. Yeah. It's
probably been like 15 years since I've rewatched the series. I'd go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with the ending. And, it's a TV show. It's one of those like, what are you going to do? Yeah. It's not going to make anyone happy.
No, and I figure like, I can already tell that they're offering a lot of big things, like a lot of big ideas. And if they don't follow up on all of them, I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't need closure for absolutely everything. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm just excited for you when they get to my favorite scene with Not Penny's boat with the Hobbit guy. I forget his name.
Oh, Charlie.
Charlie, yeah. Charlie, he was one of the good characters.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to go to that universe that has that pilot episode, the first episode on the launch, where originally Sawyer was going to be Michael Keaton. Did you hear about this?
No, I've not heard.
We're not a Lost podcast, but we'll get to this in the very first episode of our Lost podcast.
Sure.
But originally they wanted Michael Keaton to play that character, and they were going to do this whole promotion of Michael Keaton starring in a new show. It's the Michael Keaton television.
Oh.
He turned to TV, Michael Keaton, and he was going to die in the first episode. And then everyone like, what the heck? I thought he was the star character, and he was never meant to be the star character.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't go with that, which in somewhere of that universe, there would have been Michael Keaton and then dying. It would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But we're not talking Lost, right? We're not talking Lost. We're talking Simpsons. We could begin the episode. We did the couch gag, but is this actually part of the story?
This is an interesting question.
Right, because we will see that cupcake again, that Milhouse house. Will we talk about it later when we get there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just start the episode with a clip. It begins, like every episode of The Simpsons, of course, with a shot of the planet Earth, showing, of course, the greatest country of all time, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Brazil. You see it there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then some narration by probably one of our favorite voiceover artists doing this narration here. Let's hear it, okay?
Okay.
What do women want? Throughout the herstory, that's right, I said herstory, of planet Earth, men have attempted to answer that question and failed. Or should I say, mailed.
Keep it under your hat, guys, but I've got a date with a married woman.
Hey, let me guess. Is it Marge?
Her husband's gonna be there, too.
Got it, you and Marge.
Give up? It's Marge. I'm having a lunch date with my wife.
Good one.
Yeah, you got us, man.
Date with my wife.
Yeah, well, I got plans for lunch, too. I'm lying under a tree.
Everybody's got something.
I enjoyed that narration. Of course, we love Tress, and I like that she said her story. But is this a direct parody of something?
I don't think so. I also did some mild research, and I couldn't find any reference. It's not from the movie What Women Want. That's just the title, parodying. My theory is we've talked about that typical Simpsons episode of Homer screwing up. I was about to say fucking. I censored myself.
Thank you.
Sorry. Homer fucking up the relationship with his wife, Marge. And they were just like, we have 3 of these episodes a year, a season. We do this story. Let's break it up. Let's give Tress some words to say.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was like commenting on that history joke. They wanted to figure out how to do that. Let's just do a narrator. Reminds me of like that guy that's like hitting on a girl who like, oh, just to let you know, I think God's a woman.
Oh, yeah.
You know that guy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we all know God's gender fluid.
And probably doesn't exist. Not a religious podcast or not an atheistic podcast. We don't know. In that clip, a couple things. Homer is wearing Eau de Hippo cologne, and he also sprays muzzle brown on his face from an aerosol can to maintain his trademark muzzle.
Muzzle brown.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool that Homer's super excited about a lunch date.
I like a lunch date. It's nice. Feels like
Never taken me to a lunch date, Steve.
maybe next week.
Okay.
So Marge and Homer's lunch date, though, is at the coolest sushi restaurant in town, Swanky Fish, which is, of course, a take on Sugarfish, the trendy and kind of expensive sushi restaurant located in New York and LA. Marge points out that Swanky Fish receives 3.5 stars in the Springfield Tire Guide, which is, the town's version of the Michelin Guide. And here's where I'd like to introduce our newest segment, Tapping In on Tapped Out. Where we'll feature what was featured on the mobile game Tapped Out when this episode was released. Because this episode was tied into the 6th promotion of the game, so very early on, and the promotion was released on April 8th, so a few days before this episode premiered, and it had 2 editions, one which is Springfield Falls, which was free, and then Swanky Fish, which we're talking about now, which cost a whole 90 donuts. And I don't remember if that's a lot of donuts, but it feels like a lot.
It does feel like a lot. But at that time, not us, of course, but other players have tapped out. There was like a nice little cheat or hack where you can just get unlimited donuts.
Yeah. I still feel like it's so... I mean, it's probably a few months into the development, so it might... That subreddit, or whatever it was, I don't know, probably didn't exist yet. So yeah, people had to work hard, tapping and doing whatever you do to get those hard-earned donuts. I
don't remember 2013. I might have still been playing it. Probably, yeah. We had a good couple years.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember like a Milhouse skin, which is later from this episode. So maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we did have it. Yeah, there's a couple things I like. The Michelin Guide and Springfield Tire Guide. It's very funny. Did Sugarfish get its name because that's how you cure like fish for consumption? Like it's just a salt sugar.
That's very possible. Raw. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've never done a curing for raw salmon for sushi consumption. Apparently, you can use frozen like fish to eat as sushi. Supposedly, I don't do this.
So I do have some history though. When
You mean herstory, Steve?
Sorry,
You mean herstory?
I have some fishtory, actually, because it's how Sugarfish came up with its name. So it's fishtory. The chef said they're known for their melt-in-the-mouth sushi. That's a wow experience for most people. And he said, imagine a child eating his first sugar cube. And he wanted a name that would evoke that simple, pure wow sensation.
Yeah. I mean, my first sugar cube, I'm like, all right.
My first sugar cube was Bjork.
Anyway, hey, Homer tells Marge when they got married, he promised her a life full of romance, and here it is. They walk into the crowded eatery to find Springfield's elite dining on the finest nigiri and rolls. An employee takes a fish from the indoor koi pond and offers it to the chef, who declares that it's not fresh enough. So back to the pond it goes. I hope they're not eating koi.
Yeah, I hope not, because, koi are good. They're good fish to, have. And also,
Do all fish taste the same? I mean, I know they don't taste the same, but does a koi fish have it's a goldfish.
yeah, I don't know. But also that fish isn't getting any fresher, so
No.
by sticking back in, so.
Unless you got a nice new haircut and be nice and fresh.
Oh yeah, looking fresh, fish. So as server Akira, once again played by George Takei, he's at a table and the customer asks for some soy sauce, and Akira politely tells him that soy sauce is not recommended for that particular role. Akira then walks away, and the man reaches into his jacket pocket and sneakily grabs a packet of soy sauce. The chef confronts the man, shouting "No soy sauce," and then tells him that he and all of his ancestors are banned. We then see all the man's ancestors as kind of ghosts or corporeal spirits, ranging from Neanderthal to Musketeer to Hillbilly.
Simpsons did it. They invented the TV show Ghosts.
Exactly what I
Those
thought.
character types. There are certain rolls or sushi where they recommend you don't use soy sauce. Not every sushi needs a soy sauce, Steve.
Yeah, I completely agree. In fact, I would argue that you should try it without the soy sauce to experience it as a whole, and then maybe experiment with a little bit of soy sauce.
I don't know. One of my favorite just flavor combos is just like your basic salmon
Mm-hmm.
with ginger and soy. That flavor. So good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Am I just doing it for the ginger and the salty soy? Maybe. No, I'm not. It's because it's buttery. It's tasty.
Yeah, and I love that pickled ginger. So good.
Hey, that's what I call a carrot top when you add a little too much sauce. You know what?
Hey! Pickled ginger.
Ginger over there.
Hey!
He's going to kick my ass if he sees me.
Uh-huh.
That man.
Gotta get mascara and sweat all over you.
That's okay. I'm planning on just taking a little riding lawnmower and riding over his shrubs at his house in Vegas. It'll be a prank. It'll be very fun.
That's hilarious.
Hopefully people will watch this TV show Hacks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as the customers stutters in disbelief, the chef instructs his staff to edamame them away, and the crowd obliges, popping soybeans out of their shells and onto the disrespectful eater. So the man asks if the chef really thinks that'll get rid of them, causing the chef to spray him with a fire extinguisher and asking how you like this soy sauce.
So Marge hears the chef shout that the customer is never right, and she figures that if they can be that rude, the food must be great. The man returns to leave a tip, and the chef sprays him again with the fire extinguisher, saying that the tip was included. And so that chef is probably inspired by the sugarfish chef Kazunori Nozawa. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Who up until 2000,
Steve.
I'm sorry, Jeff
It's
Anderson.
Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff, yes. Jeff.
yes, Jeff. Up until his retirement in 2012, he ran Sugarfish among other restaurants, and his gruff demeanor earned him the name Sushi Nazi, a reference to the soup Nazi on Seinfeld.
This is again, 11 years ago. We're living in this environment now. If there's an Asian animated character, then an Asian person should be voicing it.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Akira, voiced by George, a Japanese man, voicing a Japanese person, George Takei.
Sure.
Now, this other chef is obviously not... Is it Hank?
I do believe, yes.
Okay.
And yeah, I kind of was wondering if that is, just a little bit problematic.
There's a couple, or one at least that comes to my head later in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's very problematic, even for 2013.
If it's the one that I'm thinking of, yeah.
It just seems weird. Why did we need this new character? I understand that this is a reference to, the soup Nazi or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
or the original or Sugarfish, but just make it Akira. Make him do the soup Nazi as sush Nazi-ish isms. Just make it Akira.
Like
Get George all those lines.
And also, Akira isn't like a super developed character, so you can do a lot of things with him, so you can give him some depth, too. So, yeah, I think that would have been the right move.
But now part of me thinks that maybe they did get the lines to George, but he objected. Because there's that whole, George was Akira originally, then he wasn't for years.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the monorail episode.
So weird.
Arguably the most, loved episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Because George, if you don't know this story, George Takei was on the board of the San Francisco Board of Transportation.
Mm-hmm.
George was all about the BART, but not the Bart Simpson.
Right.
He didn't want to, make fun of public transport or, this monorail. And the funniest joke is well, we want someone from Star Trek because they wanted him to play Sulu.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up getting, Leonard Nimoy, who's arguably, as Mr. Spock, more famous than Sulu.
Yeah.
So they stopped using him for a while. And, the audio commentary I listened to, they always thought George was just a little weird, weird demands or something like that. I don't know. He's a funny guy. But, yeah. So maybe that's why I'm saying maybe he was going to do the voice. Or I'll just give a new character.
Yeah, maybe. I think that could be possible. But I still feel like they could have hired an actor of Japanese descent to do it.
But they wouldn't at the time, because you remember this is still the time they have that core handful of voice actors because that's their whole job is to do voices. But
yeah,
then when you're doing a stereotype of an accent of a real accent, then it's kind of muddy waters. Don't do an impersonation of Muddy Waters either, Steve.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Homer is really enjoying the food and makes a remarkable discovery. Some restaurants are better than others. Huh. So when Akira checks on them, Marge tells him that the sushi is as yummy as their poorly produced local commercials said it was. Akira says that he argued against the cowboy hat, but admits that in the end it worked. So Marge then tries to have an adult discussion with her husband on their lunch date, but finds that Homer is less than engaged.
So, without the kids, we can have sophisticated grown-up talk.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking of getting Maggie swimming lessons.
Beach drowning.
When God rested on the seventh day, did he take a nap or do a hobby he enjoyed? I think I'm interesting.
What? Yeah, you're interesting. Why would you say that?
Can you chew with your mouth closed? It's like looking into a garbage disposal.
Ooh, words hurt, you know.
The most romantic part of this was the hold music when I made the reservation.
Maybe it's time for a visit from Wally, the kissing walrus.
Everything has its breaking point, even the strongest substance in the universe. A married mother of 3.
That usually works, but not today.
Of course, Marge talking about God as a he.
Uh-huh.
What would God's hobbies be, Steve?
I know he likes bowling, because every time it's thundering, I assume that he's bowling.
And crying.
Yeah, so he likes a good tearjerker. Speaking of jerking, he probably also,
Well, that's during the winter times here.
Yeah.
The snow is God's come, right?
I assume, yeah.
Okay.
That's why it snows so hard, 3 days of the year, because he's backed up.
That's just in our area. He jerks off in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, the world, not just... America's not the only place that gets snow. I think.
Yeah. He really likes Antarctica.
She, Steve, she.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry, they, Steve, they.
Yeah, it.
I've never done the walrus thing with chopsticks.
No.
But I'm going to next time I have sushi. I mean, not. What if you get splinters in your gums?
See, I don't love
Say it.
I don't love wood in my mouth. I'm fine with chopsticks, but we have some at home that are lacquered or they're not woody.
Yeah.
They have a gloss on them, and that's fine. But the disposable ones that are made out of wood that you get in the paper sleeve, I don't love using those because I don't like the texture on my tongue. So putting them in my mouth and making a walrus, that just sounds disgusting to me.
And do you break them in the wrong way? One end,
every time.
one is bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
when I go to like a sushi restaurant, I ask for a spoon and I say, "Can you microwave this for like 6 minutes, please?"
And some ketchup, please.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a little microwave and some ketchup to sushi. Plug it in.
So, as Marge rushes out of Swanky Fish, Homer shouts that he assumed it would be an innocuous lunch, but it has now become terribly occulous. He then tries to start a conversation with Marge, saying that she looks great, and then asking how her day was. As she angrily walks down the street, she says her day was lousy, and he reminds her that you can't spell lousy without us. So Marge decides to take a taxi home and hails a skin-colored or yellow cab. Kind of funny joke.
Yeah.
Homer stops her before she goes, reminding her that they'd swore that they'd never go to sleep angry at each other. But Marge isn't going to sleep because probably, unlike Homer, she didn't have 2 beers at lunch.
Yeah, forget he has to go back to work.
Yeah.
But this is probably fine because he usually sleeps at work anyway, so after lunch, take a nap.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest something here workforce-wise. Let's eliminate lunch at work.
Ooh.
Because after lunch, you're kind of too tired. You only have like a couple hours left anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're pro like having 4-day work weeks in this country because we're lazy millennials.
Yeah.
But you got to have that paid time. Never mind. We need that paid lunch. Do we get paid? Yeah.
No.
No, you don't get paid for lunch.
Usually if you work
You
like
get clocked off, yeah.
Right. If you're working like a 2-hour shift, at least in most places around here, you get 2 10-minute breaks that are paid and then an unpaid lunch.
So we should work an hour less because that's the problem. Is like, yeah, you say you work 8-hour days, but you're really working 9.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have that hour that you got to a half hour that you're near work. You still have to deal with work. I'd rather get off work and then you go to lunch and then you go home, take a nap, wake up, make dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Then play Super Mario Brothers 3 all night.
Oh, yeah. Hit that raccoon tail.
Raccoon Tail is that strip club you like to frequent, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, left alone, Homer assesses the situation. A marriage so perfect that he could take it granted for years and suddenly it explodes. So he wonders what he should do. And the narrator speaks up, saying that for a man in danger, 2 responses present themselves. There's fight, as depicted in Homer's brain as a boxing glove, or flee, shown as a Chuck Taylor's All-Star with some wings. I gotta say, I actually own this pair of Chuck Taylor's that blue.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't worn them because I'm too precious about them because they're actually from, I think, the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Still made in America and not in Japan or China, wherever they're made now. I could get probably like a nice $30 on eBay for them.
Oh, yeah.
Just not bragging or anything.
That's impressive, though.
Well, I kind of am.
Yeah.
Plus light blue. I don't know. What am I supposed to wear with those?
It's tough.
Yeah. But Homer likes the sneaker with wings so much that the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he opts for Flea. You see, because Flea is the bass player, Steve, for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Ah, yes.
And, he's also an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, after wondering where the electric sidewalk is, he realizes that he'll have to do whatever the other thing was. We need more public electric sidewalks.
Oh, yeah. Because people need to walk slower down the street.
What's your escalator etiquette, like going up and down? Like, are you walking on the escalator or do you stop on the escalator?
Honestly, if there's nobody in front of me, I'm walking, but the most important thing is you got to stay to the right. And I know that it's only going one way, but it just feels better to be on the right.
So the walking escalator, like at the airports, these are the places I have.
Oh, yeah, I keep on walking.
I'm saying, I always walk because you're meant to walk on those, but the up and downs, like usually if you're going up an escalator and there's no one behind you, then yeah, you can just stand there.
Yeah.
But if I'm going down, I usually walk when I'm going down on the escalator.
When you do what?
When I go down on the escalator, that performer at the Raccoon Tail escalator.
Yeah. There's also
we got escalator.
Ooh. Aerosmith's song plays. Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problematic song.
That's the remix. It's fine.
Of course. So the narrator takes over again, announcing that another battle between the sexes is beginning on the other side of Springfield, specifically at Springfield Elementary. As Lisa looks disapprovingly at her lunch, Milhouse wishes that she would get up and sit next to him. So she does get up and approaches his table. His dreams are coming true, and to him, it's a nightmare.
I think we might have seen the state Springfield is in.
Oh.
Now, if you notice, when Homer is shaking his hand in the air, it zooms out of the world and then right back to the elementary school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it kind of looks like Springfield's in Wisconsin because they're right next to Lake Michigan.
And there is a Springfield, Wisconsin.
We've never discussed if Springfield would be in Wisconsin. I mean, it's so close to Illinois, too. It's like right down, it's a little bit lower, but based on that image here, I'm kind of zooming in and out. I might have to do a pause and then we'll put it on our socials.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of looking like Wisconsin to me, Steve.
Interesting, yeah.
Although, I might change my... It's like on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. So it could be Illinois or Wisconsin.
There's also a Springfield, Illinois.
Well, that's the big one.
Right. And they do have like a statue of somebody.
John Schwartzwelder.
Yeah.
Have we ever discussed that another side tangent here real quick, that apparently the image of Jebediah Springfield statue was essentially Schwartzwelder?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And now I can't unsee it, but I never thought about it before.
Right. Crazy. Anyway, so I'm just going to say, looks like we're in Illinois or Wisconsin for Springfield. Sorry, guys. It's over. I mean, that's the most proof I've ever needed.
Yeah.
Was that image. It's on with the Great Lakes. And it makes me think like the crusty offshore. I know, because that was on the East Coast on the map.
Yeah.
So they traveled from Springfield all the way to Florida for that episode of the Junior Campers.
It's a pretty good camp.
They must have sold a lot of candy bars to get the trip there. All right. Well, let's just get back to the episode, Steve. We're done being detectives here on the podcast.
Yes.
Lisa tells Bart that their lunches got mixed up, showing him a sandwich with a huge stack of deli meat. He tells her that he already threw out her lunch, but he still has a couple of her mini carrots, which he presents to her by blowing them out of his nose. Lisa's disgusted by this and wants to see what Milhouse has to offer. He's got goulash, schnitzel, salmagundi, and then Lisa sees that he also has a cupcake, which looks just like the cupcake that Marge was making for the Breaking Bad parody. So is this the cupcake that Milhouse purchased, decided not to eat, and then so is it all cycle, like the whole episode? Actually, the Breaking Bad parody does exist. So they had maybe a bake sale that morning.
Yeah.
And that's why Homer and Marge are having lunch, because she was already out and about. Maybe had a sitter for Maggie.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
That kid, yeah. We saw two things today. Now, Springfield's in the border of Wisconsin and Illinois, and this cupcake Breaking Bad parody.
We're pretty smart.
And it exists in the Breaking Bad universe.
Whoa.
But how are they parodying Breaking Bad when the Breaking Bad boys are watching The Simpsons that's parodying Breaking Bad?
Whoa. And what if there's an episode of Breaking Bad, I don't think there is, but where like Jesse Pinkman's in like some drug house and somebody is like doing meth and watching The Simpsons?
Oh, I thought you were saying, and they're watching Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, that'd be even weirder.
Or an episode of Seinfeld with the dentist.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, an Aaron Paul project.
Yeah, they're watching BoJack Horseman.
They're watching Better Call Saul.
Whoa, that's really confusing.
They're watching Mr. Show. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So he nervously offers Lisa the cupcake. And as she accepts it, he thinks about giving up his cupcake for a second of attention. So there must be a better way to relate to a girl, right? So he then thinks back to his class movie day, where they are watching the sadly non-musical version of A Streetcar Named Desire, starring Marlon Brando.
Go wash up and help me clear the table.
Now that's how I clear the table.
He could board my streetcar anytime.
Why doesn't Blanche go for that delightful Carl Malden?
Ooh, potato nose? Forget it. For some stupid reason, chicks dig Brando. Sweaty clothes and mumbling? Ugh, I've been wasting my time with this sophisticated act.
Lisa, you can't have my cupcake.
What?
You heard me, Duchess. It's mine and I'm saving it.
Oh, okay. If you'll excuse me, I have to go think of you in a different light.
Great. She's never gonna talk to me again.
I'm sorry I was inconsiderate, Milhouse. And furthermore, I respect you more for saying no.
The scene with Krabappel putting the cigarette out in Bart's ear and him eating it.
Yeah.
Who's watching Hoover's Class? Why is she in there?
I don't know. Yeah, she just kind of shows up like maybe she's showing a movie too.
So they're both just having a smoke break.
Yeah.
That would happen time to time. You know, when you're in school and then it's movie time, the teacher would be like, all right, I'm stepping out. I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably them going like either to the bathroom to cry or have a cigarette.
Yeah, she comes back smelling like my mom.
Drinking some whiskey. Yeah.
And my dad.
Hey, look, we got some early signs of our good pals, Nelson and Martin, have a little conversation, a little chummy.
I like how friendly they are, and the spark is blooming, and I like that Nelson is trying to change his image from that sophisticated, erudite person that he's always been to a more person of the streets.
Yeah. Is that what women like Marlon Brando in this movie? Is that a thing that...
Yeah, I don't know why, but people or women seem to really like Marlon Brando in that movie. I don't know if it's the tight white t-shirt or his just general passion, but yeah, it seems to be a thing.
I mean, I look like Marlon Brando wearing a tight white t-shirt.
You're talking Island of Dr. Moreau days.
Really, yeah. Anything past this movie.
Right. Milhouse had some notes for his movie day, and he wrote that Elia Kazan is good with actors, and I will say that the director is known for being good with actors, except for that time that he ratted a lot of them out for being communists.
I mean, I would do the same.
I think you would, yeah.
I feel that's something Larry David would have done on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah. Maybe there's some dumb reward for, ratting somebody out, you get a pizza party or something, and I just want a pizza party. I don't know. I don't know what you get for ratting out communists. So I would never do that. He also wrote that the musical starring Flanders was better, which is a great callback, and that chicks dig Brando. Milhouse chuckles to himself and then calls Lisa babe and tells her to get him a milk. She scoffs and walks away. Bart asks Milhouse where he's going with this, and he says that he's playing the biggest hunch of his life. Lisa returns with just one thing to say. Does he want chocolate or regular? Which is a dumb question. Of course you get chocolate. So as he grabs a small carton of chocolate moo juice, she wonders why she's acting like this. She looks over and sees Milhouse, but as Marlon Brando, rudely asking if she's going to Wisconsin for the milk. So I think that further proves that it's in Illinois because you'd have to go over to Wisconsin.
Right.
Adding that he's seen cafeteria ketchup move faster. He then blows a straw wrapper at her head, and she sighs with delight.
How are you feeling about this portrayal of Lisa?
I'm not feeling good about it. It just feels like not who she is.
Right. It's almost like if a man writing this assumes what women want.
Yeah.
So Bart high-fives his friend for seducing his sister. Milhouse asks himself, who knew having a backbone was attractive? And then Principal Skinner chimes in to say, not him, as it would change the way his suits fit. So despite the fact that he may think it's lame, Lisa invites Milhouse to join her on a nature walk after school. Milhouse acts aloof, telling Lisa to just start nature walking and see if he shows up.
So the narrator tells the viewer that Milhouse has made his choice, and that if there's any justice in the world, he is doomed. She then invites us to see what Maggie's up to, and we cut to the youngest Simpson child rocking back and forth in her crib as it's just about to tip over and fall on the ground.
So maybe Marge didn't get a sitter. She just left
in
Maggie in the crib. Maggie's fine.
Yeah, she's just rocking back and forth out of boredom.
Yeah, we know Maggie. She's very capable. We then go to Marge, who's in the bedroom using a broom handle to get dirty socks and underpants off the ceiling fan, and she wonders why all of Homer's laundry basket shots are 3-point attempts. Homer then crawls in on his knees, presenting her with flowers and a card that says, I'm sorry.
What are you doing home from work?
I'm fighting for you, babe. Fighting like I would for the last slice of cold pizza in the box. And to show you how serious I am...
From the gas station?
From the place beside the gas station.
Well, that does sound good. I'll just stick this in your apology card drawer. No, I'm tired of your broken promises. Marge, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. Sweetie, I'll be home at 8 p.m. Sweetie, I'll be home at 8 a.m. I'll take you out to the most romantic lunch of your life. I'm done.
Marge was so happy when I made those promises. What changed?
I think this is probably the most angry Marge we've seen.
Yeah.
In fact, this was the end scene for the TV show, so the credits roll and the show's over.
Yep, she got a divorce and she hooked up with Flanders, and that was it.
Yeah, much happier. They are soulmates, as we discussed. Was it last week?
I do believe, yeah, last week.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Sorry, Homer, you fucked up one too many times.
More than one too many times, I would say, but yeah, this was the last straw.
Yeah, he's fucked up, let's say, at least 525 times.
Yeah. And the movie. At Springfield Falls, called The Lamest Falls in America by RottenFalls.com, not a real website, Lisa is surprised to find Milhouse in a leather jacket saying nothing. She thinks it's the cutest he's ever been. Milhouse tries to speak, but Lisa stops him, asking to get lost in the blue of his eyebrows. Milhouse replies with a snarky, whatever, and then asks if Lisa brought the sandwich what I sent her for. She came back saying that it came with fries or salad, and that he tells her that whatever she picked wrong. And Lisa replies that she wasn't sure, so she got both.
We all know the right answer is fries.
Of course, yeah, no doubt.
Like, you've done that once or twice at a restaurant. Like, look, I'm going to try to be healthy. I'm going to get the salad with my burger. And then you end up just, like, taking more fries off your partner's plate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lisa swoons for Milhouse, which causes him to think he's acting like a jerk. And Lisa is eating it up. Why doesn't he feel good? He realizes that he needs advice from the most important woman in his life, the school therapist.
So everything was going great, and then I wondered if the me she likes is the real me.
Well, let me say, this is the first time you've been brave enough to sit in this office without a bunny in your lap.
Where is the bunny?
He's in the closet. He's fine. I'm over here, Milhouse. Focus.
You gotta help me, Doc. I just don't know what to do.
Don't worry, I'm here for you, and I'll be here for as long as it takes. I'm fired? You're on your own. I'll clean out my office immediately.
I'll show you how to clean out an office.
I don't usually say this to kids, but don't be yourself, because yourself is not working. Be that guy you just were.
Gotcha. Oh, I love you, fluffy fella.
I just got fired. I need it more than you.
Fluffy fella! Fella!
The therapist, of course, is played by great comedian Wanda Sykes. I think we were talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm earlier. She's great on Curb.
Yeah, she's really good in most things that she's in. Like, I love her as a comedian, too.
Yeah. And I love the delivery and timing was perfect of, like, the phone call, her getting fired. Because it was just, like, there was no pause. Sometimes a pause is funny, but this one's like, I'll be here as long as I need you. Did you need me to be here? Ring, ring, ring. What? I'm fired? Okay. It's very good.
Yeah. Really good.
And then we have the Chekhov's gun was Milhouse mentioning the bunny. Should they have said the name, the fella first, and then he did the Stella joke? Or was it all waiting for like, oh, there's a bunny, and then he sees a bunny, and it's named Fella, and then, oh, there we go. Is it because it's... I think you get the lateness of too fast. Like, oh, here's the fella, like the name of the bunny right away for that Stella joke.
Right. I think if they had mentioned it earlier, the viewer would have like jumped to that conclusion already. Yeah. Like, oh, they're just going to wait for it. So I think doing it so quickly allowed them to make that joke like succinctly. You didn't have time to process, even though you knew where it was going.
Because they want to have that Stella joke. Mm-hmm. But would it have been interesting, and I say interesting and not funny because I don't know, if Homer was the one to do the Stella joke? Because that's not part of his story.
Yeah.
Because it's too obvious with Milhouse or do you need the joke? I think you have to have it, right? Because it is such an iconic line.
Yeah, I mean, if they did it today, they'd be like, hey, Milhouse, who's your favorite actor on The Last of Us? Is it Pedro Pascal? He's like, no, it's Bella. Bella Ramsey.
Wow. Can we cut that? I feel sad for you, Steve.
Me too.
We're not professional comedy writers. We're just observers. But at least Wanda Sykes made the scene that we just listened to enjoyable. And I sure hope we'll see from her later.
Me too. So Homer sits on a park bench as the narrator informs us that he is doing something that he finds very difficult. Thinking. He looks at his photo of his loving family, wondering how he could win Marge over. He thinks briefly that he could convince her kids to like him, but he realizes that ship has sailed. The narrator then speaks up again to say that there is a third alternative to fighting or fleeing, fixing things. Homer asks himself if it would make a woman happy to do the thing that she asked you to do. Yes, it would.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the answer. Well, he then looks at a crumpled chore list from his pocket and consults his phone for guidance. He asks the personal digital assistant, Searchy, where he can find brake fluid. And then the robotic woman's voice, much like Siri. So the woman's voice tells him that there are 14 Taco Joes in his area. So frustrated, Homer says that was yesterday, which causes the phone to play the Beatles song Yesterday. He then asks where he can find a better voice-activated search machine, and then the phone shoots at his forehead. Defeated, Homer says that he can't please any women, who then causes another laser beam from his phone.
What did you think of that? The whole Siri joke.
I'm wondering at the time, it was probably pretty good, but I feel like maybe there's so many voice assistant jokes in other media now that we're just bombarded with them that it makes it hard to laugh at it.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard with that time, but yeah, to me, like, I'm not saying joke jail necessarily, but it just did feel like a little like something that we've seen before.
But sometimes it's funny when it happens naturally. If you say something that's close to Siri or Alexa, and you're like, podcast, and your device goes off, that's kind of funny.
That's true. So in the backyard of 742 Evergreen Terrace, Milhouse and Bart giggle as Lisa arrives. She's unsure why Milhouse left her alone in the forest, but she made him cookies, 7 different kinds, said she didn't know what he preferred. Lisa then realizes that she's become her mother, and then adopting Marge's voice, Lisa says to herself that common sense never goes out of style. And she's stunned by how easy the transition was, which is very disheartening because Lisa has such her own personality, and it's also reductive to her mother. So yeah, it just makes me feel bad.
And when it comes to cookies, I don't think I would turn down any cookie. Is there a cookie out there that you're like, I don't want that?
No, I mean, I love all cookies. I would say that peanut butter cookies are weak to me, which is weird because I love peanut butter. I just don't think they work in cookie form. But other than that, I think, all cookies are good cookies.
All cookies matter.
It's true.
Like I'm looking at...
Even cookie, go on.
Yeah. I'm looking at her cookies there. It looks like there's a chocolate chip, and then maybe that's like a oatmeal raisin. There's like a star, like maybe like a sugar cookie. There's one of those, like a filled, some sort of filled, like a fruit-filled one.
I do like those.
Fig or some sort of raspberry-filled one, maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like there's like some shortbread. Then there's those, what are they called? It's like with the Hershey Kisses. It looks like a nipple right now, but
right.
Hershey Kiss in those. Yeah. I look. I like an oatmeal cookie too. I know people will say, "Oh, not all cookies matter because oatmeal raisin can just shut the fuck up and get the fuck out." I love oatmeal raisin.
Oh, I think they're great. And like, you don't have to do oatmeal raisin. You can do oatmeal chocolate chip, or what I like to do is do a thumbprint oatmeal cookie with a little jam inside. It's nice.
I used to make, God, I haven't made them in years. I used to make oatmeal chocolate chip cookies, but I was using chocolate chip. I was using like chocolate chunks.
Ooh, yeah.
Oatmeal chocolate chunk cookies are...
Right. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, I'm writing down my shopping list now. I haven't probably made those in like 20 years.
Maybe I should make some cookies. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I just use the Quaker Oats recipe that's on the box or the carton.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to use. It's the perfect recipe, in my opinion.
I agree.
Well, Homer sees the treehouse collapse and looks at his chore list. First is to replace Marge's brake fluid, which he checked and is done. Next is to demolish the unsafe treehouse, which Milhouse has done for him, so he's done with that one. And the third on the list is to file down the bedroom door that always sticks. So in the basement, Homer checks his filling work to see how straight the door is. So he stands the door up, and out pops Grandpa shouting, "Guess who's coming to dinner?" And Homer reminds Abe that how he feels about comical entrances, and Abe apologizes. So he then tells Homer that nothing was said about comical exits, and Abe disappears in a garment bag. So then Marge walks down to the basement to see what Homer is up to.
Homie, what are you doing?
I'm planing down that door that always sticks. I put training wheels on Bart's bike and made an appointment with the dermatologist to see about my slowly receding hairline.
Oh, Homer.
Yes, my love.
This list is from 6 years ago.
Oh. Well, you know how in the Special Olympics they give medals just for showing up?
How many times do I have to tell you to quit comparing our relationship to the Special Olympics?
When all is lost, a man's mind turns to one thing and one thing only.
What fish may I deplete from our oceans for your passing pleasure? Perhaps some shark fin soup, whale tonsils, baby dolphin blowhole, turtle smile?
I'd like a lot of food, and for this to be the last decision I have to make.
Aye, you want omakase, chef's choice.
You're all I have left. I trust you completely.
The sushi chef tells Homer that he has the same amount of trust, and to celebrate their equal levels of trust, he'd like to run Homer's credit card. And Homer reaches into his wallet and hands the card to the chef, who replies, "Thank you, Mr. Franders." And you might think, oh, we're just hearing it wrong. But I have the closed caption when I do notes, just because it's easier for me to, get things that are said down, and it even says it there. And I just feel like, even, 11 years ago, doing the LR thing to depict an Asian person speaking English just feels a little not great.
It's just, it's a white person doing the voice, so it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what the big thing is, yeah.
Let's just leave it at that. We're not the PC police, Steve.
No.
Say the joke. You want to do it.
I don't know what it is. I was trying to think of it.
You say, yes, we're the Mac police or something? I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I was trying to think, they're over in Police City, but that didn't work. Because it's a PC. But yeah, I think, we're the Mac police is better.
And we're fat, so we're the Big Mac police.
Oh, Big Mac, yum.
Well, so let's go back to the Simpsons house, and Lisa digs through the wreckage of the fallen tree house. Bart is happy to be saved, but Lisa's more concerned that Milhouse is okay. So Milhouse thinks of Brando, specifically in his cut role as Superman's daddy, Jor-El, in Superman 2, where he received $5 million for 3 days of work. Brando tells him not to expect any more free advice from him. And then Carl Malden appears, wondering if Potato Nose can help. Simply says, later, and then runs off. So famously the Superman Brando thing was, I think it was unheard of at the time that they offered Brando $1 million to be in a movie, which again, let's say it was unheard of at the time. There's a whole thing about Superman 1 and 2 were kind of by Donner, the first Superman movie, Richard Donner. They filmed so much of it that there was supposed to be part 2, but they didn't finish the footage, and then they just used a lot of Donner stuff and then put new stuff in for Superman 2, the different director. So he wasn't actually in Superman 2. They cast the actress who played his mom to do it. So is that a blunder? The Milhouse says Superman 2? But
maybe.
But a few years ago, they did release the Donner cut of Superman 2 where they did incorporate Brando back in. So maybe Milhouse has only seen the Donner cut of Superman 2.
Yeah, maybe. That's very possible.
All right.
That was another movie day in class. They watched the Donner cut.
We actually, in one of my English classes in high school, we watched the first Superman.
Oh, wow. That's weird. But I do remember watching Grease in an English class, too, so it's also weird.
It's just our teachers that were grew up with those 70s movies. I'm going to just watch this movie.
Yeah.
I got more important things to do than teach kids.
Yeah, I need to work on my manuscript.
So
over at
Steve, again, it's her script, not man e-script, her e-script.
Yes, it's the woman u-script.
Yes.
Over at Swinky Fish, Homer sighs sadly, and the chef says that he sees tears in Homer's Toro. Homer claims about the difficulty of marriage, saying that it could explode catastrophically at any moment, what makes him want to go back to work at the nuclear plant. So then the chef offers some advice to Homer.
I say marriage is like a fish. There are parts so delicious they could have been sliced from angels, and parts we make into omakase.
Omakase. Where have I heard that word before?
You haven't. Now, finish your omakase. Although we have but one ocean, it offers many special delights.
Wow. Wow, this is the most delicious analogy I've ever eaten. I need to share this insight with Marge. Put this in your finest styrofoam. Once again, by eating alone, I have saved my marriage.
Please enjoy with my compliments. You can even eat the eyes. He ate the eye!
I wonder if the sushi coming to life was kind of a take on a Hayao Miyazaki film, you know, because the eyes and like it's very reminiscent of anime. Like Ponyo or something like that.
I think so. Can I do a correction real quick in this episode? So,
yes.
Our listeners don't email us with hate speech. I said earlier that who's the chef is like Hank Azaria, maybe. It's not Hank. It's actually Maurice LaMarche.
Okay, yeah, because like when he did that, he ate the eye line. It sounded like something from Futurama.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Okay. Just making sure that we know that Maurice LaMarche is the one that you have to be mad at.
Yes.
Egon Spangler himself from the real Ghostbusters, Maurice LaMarche. And, you know, Brain. The Brain. And, of course, Futurama. Yeah, like you said. Kif, Morbo, Lur, Calculon. So many more.
The rest.
Yes. My favorite character that he does is the rest. Anyway, so Homer walks into his bedroom at 3:02 in the morning, presenting Marge with a plate of sushi, because I know at 3 in the morning what I want to eat is sushi.
Yeah.
So he tells...
The best thing to wake up to.
Yeah. Here, smell this raw fish and I'll eat it. But honestly, I probably would.
Yeah.
He tells her that for reasons that he forgot in the car, that sushi represents their marriage. The one thing that he does know is that he wants to share it with her. So Marge thinks to herself that Homer has taken a step, and he's really close. He just needs to let her eat a piece of sushi before he does. So Homer stands still for a moment, but then stuffs a piece in his mouth. Marge sees this, but figures that every man deserves a second chance, as long as he doesn't. And then Homer eats a second piece, which causes Marge to say that she's not hungry, and rolls over and goes to sleep. I wonder if the punch-up was when she's like, every man deserves a second chance, and then as long as he doesn't, and then she sees the plate again, but if it's just empty, he eats it all. Or maybe like one piece left.
Yeah, I could see that.
But that would show like no growth at all. So I think that Homer resistant. But I mean, hey, he didn't eat a piece of the cars theoretically, so on his way home.
Right. And I don't know how late he was at the restaurant, but it's 3 in the morning, so he's held on to that sushi for a while.
Well, this is pre-pandemic, so restaurants did stay open later than 9 p.m.
That's true, yeah. Also, I don't know why, but I got kind of like Peter Griffin vibes when he took the sushi. Like, it just felt like something that, the movement felt very Family Guy-like.
Yeah, it's like the only thing that moves is the arm slowly, and the rest of the body stays still. Yeah, I see it.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not crazy, at least about that. Homer dumps a sushi tray into Santa's little helper's food bowl, saying at least he doesn't have to suffer. As the dog chows it down, the sushi chef wakes up in his bed, knowing that somebody fed his sushi to the dog. The school counselor wakes up next to him, and upset that he wasn't that mad when she got fired early the next day. They're a couple.
Yeah, nice.
He tells her that it was a blessing in disguise, and that she can now get her PhD. And the counselor responds that she doesn't want a PhD, she wants a baby. And then the chef rolls his eyes, saying, "Here we go again."
And then, cut to 2 weeks later, we see that Fox is optioned for the Counselor and Sushi Chef TV show.
That's right. They have a kid, and they have their wacky mishaps, but somehow they make it work.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, it'd be good.
How upset were you that Homer just gives the dog sushi?
Yeah, especially from that restaurant, because it's probably so expensive and probably really good that, yeah.
I just put it in the fridge, eat it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Or give it to Lisa, she'll eat it.
Yeah, she doesn't know any better.
Yeah. Marge would feed her the sushi because Marge really hates Lisa being a vegetarian.
Yeah. She's going to hell.
Yeah, she is. So on the in the schoolyard the next day, Lisa reads a Nancy Drew book. It's called Nancy Drew and the Mystery of the Declining Book Sales. And it's kind of like a mirror and a mirror and a mirror of those.
Yeah. Like an image of the image inside the image inside the image. Yeah.
And so Milhouse walks up to her and says that he could be anyone for her except for someone who's mean to her. He then offers her the cupcake, which she asked for in the first place. And Lisa's a little unsure because it's 4 days old cupcake. And then she just ate. But Milhouse responds by asking who she is, the Queen of Siam, which is kind of funny. Like, what a date reference.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to use that in my repertoire. And then he tells her to just take the cupcake. So Lisa and Milhouse then share the cupcake together. It's nice.
Aww.
You know, she has a bite, but then she offers it to him. So it's very sweet. But I've had like a few day old cupcakes, and when that frosting is a little crunchy, it's a little sus.
Yeah, and like at this time, I feel like cupcakes were having a moment. Like there were a lot of like craft cupcake stores popping up in 2013. There was like a big trend of like, it's where you had the cupcake cooking shows and just all this creative stuff with cupcakes. And it kind of made me realize that cupcakes are okay, but they're not my favorite.
No, because you get your hands dirty. Just give me a piece of cake because I got a fork with it. Much easier.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me started between muffins and cupcakes. Muffins are just cupcakes without frosting.
It's true.
Anyways, Lisa and Milhouse enjoy that track, and he wonders if Brando ever enjoyed cupcakes. And then a thought bubble of a later day Brando appears and wearing a flower print muumuu, which I wish they was the one where Homer got fat, or he was wearing that.
Yeah.
He was only saying that he's down to 2 cupcakes a day, but he's also been dead for like 10 years. Anyways, meanwhile, Homer looks into his water hole for some advice.
Oh, Mo, can you think of a way to please a woman that starts with F?
You know, it's funny you should mention that. I've been reading that 50 Shades of Grey, and it turns out that what chicks want now is a guy to give them what for in the bedroom there.
Woohoo! I'll woo her with woohoo!
You know, if this is what women like, I should be a lot more popular. But it does inspire me to work on my fan fiction. Sheriff Andy took Barney in his arms and kissed him deeply, then said, "Now if Aunt Bee asks, we were down at the fishing hole." I can't be the only one who likes this.
Can you think of a way to please a woman that starts with F, and we're all thinking fucking, of course.
Right.
But that's essentially the answer, which is...
Exactly, yeah.
Funny. I know a way to please Steve with a word that starts with F. French fries.
Oh, yeah. That's... I'll fuck with some French fries, yeah. That makes me very happy. Also, what makes me happy is that clip.
Yeah.
Mo writing the Andy Griffith fan fiction, erotic fan fiction, no less. I don't know, it just delights me. My one small quibble is that they spell Aunt B B-E-E, and everybody knows it's B-E-A, but I'll let it go.
Well, I don't think Mo knows that, so it's fine.
Yeah.
He would just write he would know.
That's true.
All right.
But I don't know. I just found that to be a lot of fun. And also, Mo's into, some bondage because he thinks that he should be more popular because of 50 Shades of Grey, so...
Right. Which was the joke at the time, making 50
Exactly.
Shades. Yeah, which is fine.
We're all laughing at Dakota Johnson's performance and being like, she'll get better.
Just put her in a superhero movie.
Yeah. At a XXX sex shop called the Elegant Scoundrel, formerly known as Sammy's Sex Sewer, Sideshow Mel, Lindsay Nagel, Good Old Gil, and Mrs. Krabappel sneak in, obscuring their faces from prying eyes and the camera. Which makes sense because, Lindsay Nagel, sex addict, as previously noted. Mel's got a bone in his hair, so that's something. And Gil, he's probably just looking for quarters on the nudie booths. And Mrs. Krabappel, she's a horny lady, so she can get her freak on. But Homer also enters, waving hello to the security camera, just like hi. And inside, Agnes Skinner is picking out a new pair of handcuffs. And then we see Helen Lovejoy. She's looking at a pink leather bondage mask. Homer is shocked to see the minister's wife in a sex shop, but she says, with a basket full of items, that she's protesting the establishment. Timothy Lovejoy then pops out of the dressing room in leather chaps and a leather chain around his neck, holding a paddle. He asks Helen if this is dominating enough for her, but she tells him to go back to the cowboy thing and wait in the car. So that says a lot about Helen Lovejoy, and she likes to be dominated. She's a sub.
I think we've seen that hints in episodes prior.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you a couple times in that long description of the scene, but you said minister's wife. I'm going to play rousing around with the minister's wife. Steve, ready?
Okay.
We have to start with a letter first, don't we? Can we get a letter from the alphabet from the audience?
S.
S, okay. The minister's wife is a sexy wife.
The minister's wife is a sexy wife and a terrific cook.
The minister's wife No, it's the minister. You're an improv. Don't you know this?
It's been a while.
The minister's wife is a sexy, terrific cook wife. Yeah, no, I'm confused. Is it most? I thought it was just like one word each. Like the minister's wife is a sexy wife, a sexy, terrific wife. And then I think it's just one word. Yeah, I can't, right? So I said
maybe, yeah.
And we'll just say terrific for you. Let's try it. Can we get another letter real quick?
Let's go for B.
B, okay. Steve, you start us off.
The minister's wife is a babe.
The minister's wife is a babe. Yeah, now is it a babe wife and it's supposed to be the minister's cat too, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, minister's cat is an adorable cat. The next player would say an adjective that starts with B, and so on.
Okay, so the minister's wife is a beautiful wife.
But I have to say the minister's wife is a beautiful, cantankerous wife.
Right.
So it's just all adjectives. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Start again. Can we get another letter real quick?
J.
J. Okay. I'll start. The minister's wife is a jester wife.
The minister's wife is a kind gesture's wife.
Wait, where are we going?
Do we go mine then yours, or do we go yours then mine?
Jesus.
Man.
I think you're right. So the minister's wife is a lousy, kind jester wife. You see kind? I even forgot. All right, never mind. We're done. We're almost done with this episode. Let's just continue. Oh, all right. And the only thing I wanted to come back to was when everyone was afraid to look into the camera, Homer does a very questionable hello dare.
Hello there.
Now, this is what I was talking about earlier about is it problematic?
Interesting.
Is that the one you thought either? Or was it just the
credit card thing? But, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That is problematic. Yeah, I know what you mean now.
I think that's worse than what we've seen.
I think you're right.
Okay.
Hello there.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go back. We're almost done with this episode, Steve. Homer looks to an employee for some advice, telling the goateed and ponytailed worker that it may sound kinky, but he'd like to please his wife. So Homer is then asked if he's comfortable with role play. And Homer responds in a Cockney accent, I think I could give it a show. What, Governor Bob's your uncle? Perhaps role play isn't for Homer and accents for me.
Yeah, but you did as good as Homer, I think, so you're fine. Okay. Back at home, Marge stares at a glass of red wine. And it's 4:59. She's waiting for it to be 5 so she can, appropriately drink. And then in a sing-song voice, Homer invites her to the garage, saying that it'll be good because he sang it in a sing-song fashion. Marge walks in to discover what she describes as a snuggle dungeon. Ned Flanders then pops in, hoping to retrieve a borrowed item, but the sight of all the sex accessories, or sexcessories, causes him to run away in terror. Marge, though, isn't exactly sure what Homer has in mind.
What does this do?
Now just relax, sit down. Not in that chair! It has no bottom!
This is not putting me in the mood.
Anger's a mood.
Why would you think I'd like this?
I don't know. It's just that you always say we should try new things. But I thought snuggle clams just might rekindle... Oh! Quick! Call the Procter & Gamble helpline!
Really? Geez, they make everything.
That line, though, of anger's an emotion. It's true.
Yeah.
It's, is that a ball torture? Remember that scene in Casino Royale where Bond...
Oh, yeah.
They're hanging out of the chair and he gets hit with a rope. Is that what you're supposed to do with that chair, Homer's in? I don't know. I mean... It's like Dungeon.
I don't have the Snuggle Dungeon either.
Snuggle Dungeon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the vanilla's the flavor, and I think that vanilla works in a lot of different fashions, so sometimes vanilla's just fine.
Steve is trying to say that he's not a kinky guy, not kink shaming, but
No.
He's a man of God. He's a missionary.
And sometimes, I can be a little canine as well.
And especially after Beyonce's new country album, you're a little cowboy.
Sure. But I'd like to play it backwards for hidden messages. Okay. So I played it in reverse, cowboy.
Right.
At Springfield General Hospital, where the new Brazilian kidneys are in, Homer sits with his legs behind his head. Marge walks in, and Homer wonders what she is thinking. She tells him that she's glad that he's okay. Dr. Hibbert then informs Homer that he's going to receive a powerful muscle relaxant, and then gives him a shot. Homer's legs immediately go back to their proper position, and his body relaxes. Dr. Hibbert's surprised, though, because it was only a placebo. Hearing this, Homer's body constricts again, and his legs go back behind his head, and he asks what a placebo is, and the doctor tells him that it's a powerful drug, and Homer is once again back to normal. Marge then shares her thoughts with her homie.
Homer, I'm glad that you tried, even though now I can't find the washing machine.
It's behind a dingle swing.
Oh?
So, you forgive me?
Not because of what you bought, but because I realize that no matter what, you will never stop trying. And there's nothing a woman loves more than that.
Aw, thanks, honey. So, you're not cool with any of the toys?
Actually, I'm cool with one of them.
Which one?
Not gonna say.
What size batteries?
D.
Ooh, how many?
16.
Holy moly.
Did you like the animation of the placebo?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just like the way his body moves. Yeah.
And in that position with the lace, he doesn't need a snuggle dungeon or Marge, if you know what I mean.
That's true.
Well, that evening in the backyard, Marge sits in the lawn chair watching as Homer burns the various issues of Play Dude magazine, leather masks, inflatable dolls, butt plugs, dildos, lube, and other things he bought at the sex shop. The narrator then states that Homer and Marge's marriage is safe for another week. Meanwhile, Lisa sits in her bed reading a book, Jazz, from J to Z. Kind of funny, yeah. Book title.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 cupcakes in her window. She looks outside to see that Milhouse is the culprit. So she finds his action to be sweet, and he remarks that those were the only 2 that reached the window. We then pan out to see that he's thrown dozens of cupcakes, most of them hitting the side of the house. And then Dionne Warwick's rendition of I'll Never Fall in Love Again plays. Homer and Marge stare at the bonfire of debauchery, holding hands. We then go inside the stomach of Santa's little helper, where the undigested sushi wonders if they are trapped in that sea forever. So the pooch then yawns, letting in light, and the sushi thinks it may be a way forward. And then Santa's little helper feels his stomach growl and heads outside, and the sushi excited thinks their new journey begins. And that's when the episode ends. Were you expecting to see a dog take a shit or vomit? Were they were talking about this? It was about shitting, right? Or vomiting?
Well, I feel like the sushi, when they were talking about vomiting, or they were hoping for vomiting.
Because the yawn.
But when when the dog went outside, it felt like he was going to shit.
Yeah, because it was doing the swirl. Also, a very clean digestive tract or system in there.
Yeah.
It's like water.
Also, would sushi really be upset by being stuck in a sea forever? Isn't that just going back home?
Yeah, that seems right to me.
I don't know. But, well, that's our episode. Or not our episode, but that's the episode that we watched. Let's take a moment to think about what we saw and take a little break. We'll be right back.
What do you get when you fall in love? A guy with a pen to burst your bubble. That's what you get.
And we're back. Let's finish up our discussion of what animated women want. We'll talk about the things we liked, the things we didn't like, maybe a most valuable jokester, and the things that made us laugh, and what we're watching next week. But before we do all of that...
We're going to play Minister's Wife?
No, we're going to play a rousing game of Zip, Zap, Zop, which will work great as a podcast format. Zip. Zop. How do you screw up that game? I don't remember, but it's been a few years. But anyway.
Okay.
No, we like to give gifts here. And Craig, I got something very special for you. I don't know if I can say what it is, but I'll tell you, it does require several D batteries.
Because we're all confused on what that multiple D battery thing that Marge is going to be using later. If this was like the 80s, it'd probably be like a remote control car.
That's true.
Or no, a Sega Game Gear.
Oh, God, yeah.
The most expensive handheld gaming system. Because on batteries, you could play for maybe half an hour, and then you go to your parents. Can you get more D batteries? I think I put my parents in the poorhouse because of that video game system. Like, they had to buy batteries every hour.
Yeah, I couldn't finish 1/4 of Joe Montana's football in that.
I knew a sex thing was going to be my present. And I know you're a vanilla guy, so you probably don't want all those doodads that Homer got. So I thought you're more of like an old school erotic man.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather read erotica rather than experience it. So I got you the 4-volume omnibus of Mo Sizlak's / fiction series called Mayberry Tales.
Ooh.
I guess it's supposed to be a parody of the Canterbury Tales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 4. I know there's probably be more sets coming soon because Mo still writes them, but there you go.
I love it. I love an omnibus, and I like the erotic adventures of Andy and Barney, and, probably the town drunk and Floyd the barber, and who else knows who could be in there?
I've read them. I'll let you know there is no child endangerment or child pornography. Little Opie's not in any sexual mishaps.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Mo was at least proper then.
Good.
Sorry, Jared Fogle.
So, Craig, what made you laugh in this episode?
Like your gift, Mo says, like, that was probably my favorite scene, was the scene of Mo. I think lately we've had scenes at Mo's, and I haven't been enjoying them that much, but I think this one was pretty funny. I kind of did like that joke with Homer and Dr. Hibbert with the placebo. I actually did think that was pretty funny. So there, and then Wanda Socks, of course, was great. But yeah, that Mo scene, and Krabappel putting the cigarette out in Bart's ear. Yeah, and Homer in the adult store with all the other Springfieldites. So those are probably my top scenes there. Steve, how about you?
I have to agree with you that the Mo scene is definitely my favorite, hands down. Really made me laugh. I actually like Grandpa's little joke about the entrances and exits. I just think that was kind of fun and wacky. And I liked Nelson and Martin in the classroom as well. Nelson, especially, like, him acting sophisticated with the vest. I think that's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a most valuable jokester would definitely be Mo.
Sure, let's give it to Mo.
Yeah, but Craig, what did you think of this episode in general?
Look, we've had episodes where the A and B story usually have nothing to do with each other. And this time, they did. There's a juxtaposition between Homer and Milhouse. And that being said, thanks for doing that. A lot of times when we watch an episode, we'll say like what we thought of in general. We'll always start off with this, and it's, first when I watched it, I wasn't a fan, but then watching it again and talking with you, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the opposite for me today. When I watched it, I was like, it's not bad. Then rewatching it, I'm noticing flaws or just things that I'm just not a fan of. And while I appreciate the attempt, we're in this new enlightened era. And when you title an episode called What Animated Women Want, and it's an episode to the guys to say, stop doing these things. Here's how you should be acting around women. But it's written by a man. And I don't think you could do that these days. And there's some borderline, if not over the border, racial jokes in here that don't play well in this day and age. It's tough. I mean, because I like some of J. Stewart Burns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Mr. Burns' episodes quite a lot, And I think at the time, this episode might have been up there. But looking at 2024 vision, see if I have 2024 vision. No, not 2020. Yeah, it's 4 better. It's not a watch for me. I just think that the Marge and Homer episodes where Homer fucks up Marge and the Marge, to Marge, he's got to win her back, are some of my least favorite episodes. Because it's how many times does Homer have to fuck up? Which, I'm saying least favorite is a lot, too, because that's, there's at least half the season is those type of stories.
It's true.
So I get kind of tired of, like, how many more times does Homer screw up and Marge still forgives him. Lisa in this episode felt off because I feel like Lisa's such a strong character that, yes, eventually Lisa will fall in love, like we all do as humans. But I think, like, it just seems off-brand for Lisa in this episode. I think she's a weak character, which we want her to be strong. And there's weakness in everybody. I get it. And, to tell the story. It's just, I don't want to see my beloved Lisa fall prey to this ruse that Milhouse lays on her. The Van Helens, now thinking about it, they're a really shitty group of people. Kirk's not cool anymore. He's a big, Karen, I guess you'd call her.
Yeah.
Or call him. Luann's not any better. I mean, when they were divorced, like, she kind of rubbed it into Kurt's face the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that's kind of a fucked up thing to do. And the way Milhouse now treats, it's that old adage of, like, nice guys finish last, and he's the nice guy. So he's got to be the jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Screw the Van Houtens. But, Steve, with that being said, you might not know where I'm going with this episode. So I'll give you a ranking, and then that'll pretty much figure out what I think about this episode.
All right.
So they do the Streetcar Named Desire parody. Of course, we are finally thinking about the Streetcar Named Marge, which is, of course, from Season 4. It's Episode 2. Total number will be 61.
Nice.
But when I think it's 61, I think of the 61 Yankees, and Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle. And I think, who loved that 61 Yankees is funny man himself, Billy Crystal, because he made that movie for HBO, 61, about that Yankees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm going to give this episode a ranking, I'm going to rank it out of a Billy Crystal movie, as you would. So, let's say Billy Crystal movies, we all love City Slickers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, or analyze that, the top Billy Crystal movies, or Monsters, Inc. up there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Those episodes, movies, don't forget, he's the mime in Spinal Tap. He's not really the star of that movie. Oh, Princess Bride. What a great movie. Oh, I guess number one really is When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one. Okay. Well, you got those movies I said are great movies. So out of Billy Crystal movies, I'll give this Billy Crystal movie, let's say, My Giant.
I thought you might go there, and I knew that you would.
Okay. Either that or Father's Day, but I'm going with My Giant.
Yeah. Speaking of possibly racist things, Billy Crystal and some of his work in the 80s and 90s, or his thing that he did for Hurricane Katrina that, not great.
I know you're referencing him doing Sammy Davis on SNL, and, well, blackface was okay at the time, Steve. Well, I'll let it pass.
Yeah, he also has his other jazz man character, which is...
What was the thing for Katrina?
There was like a Hurricane Katrina relief special with like Mike Myers, and it's the one where Kanye West famously said that George Bush doesn't care about black people. And they had like Billy Crystal did like a 9-minute performance as the blues man, and he spoke in kind of a stereotypical like 30s or 40s perception of a black person. And he ended every line like, "Can you dig it? I knew that you could." If you look it up on YouTube, Tom Sharpling of The Best Show has like a whole thing where he breaks it down. That's entertaining, but the show itself is like, it's just weird because I knew he's doing it for a good cause. I'm not saying Billy Crystal is a racist. I'm just saying that it's a little tone deaf and just not great.
All right. So anyways, yeah, Billy Crystal.
Yeah, My Giant.
Okay, My Giant. How about you, Steve? What did you think of this episode?
Speaking of tone deaf and not that great.
Are you talking about me?
This episode,
Okay.
It's trying a lot of things. I'll admit that. I think, doing the Sugarfish parody, it's kind of fun, although they kind of go into some problematic areas. I feel like the Hayao Miyazaki parody with the sushi coming to life is either unnecessary or they didn't dive into it deep enough. Like, it just seemed like kind of a throwaway. We've all seen Homer and Marge, Homer messes up and has to win Marge back. It's a thing that we know. And I think that there are better versions of it. I'm not saying that Marge's anger was unjustified because she has dealt with a lot. But I feel like of the things that she's gotten mad about, her reaction seems a little bit grander than maybe it should be. Because basically, Homer took her out to lunch and then just kind of ignored her and was being Homer. And then Lisa is not being Lisa in this episode. She's being, weak-willed kind of person who, that's not her. And, I feel like if you're going to do this, at least have her have more of a moral dilemma with it, so she has more depth of character. And I think, a few months back we reviewed one where Milhouse was her Italian language tutor, and she kind of fell from there. And I think that was better executed than this. Just all in all, I think that this episode is a miss for me as well. This era of The Simpsons kind of feels like what people don't like about The Simpsons, and this episode in particular, I don't know that the tone is there, and I know that J. Stewart Burns is capable of writing great episodes, but this isn't one of them for me, at least. So I'm going to say it's a skip, and if I had to give it a ranking, I was looking at the Sugarfish menu for the LA location, and they went to lunch, so I looked at their lunch menu, and they have a thing called the Don't Think, Just Trust Me. It's the menu that's most popular to the tradition of the original chef, and so it usually has a sashimi course, 7 orders of nigiri, and 2 hand rolls, and it costs $59. So out of $59, I'm going to give this $7.
Which is usually the amount of money I pay for sushi.
Exactly.
And I wonder why I'm vomiting afterwards.
Yeah, so all in all, I think that this is not the best of episodes.
Are we on a downswing here, alone this podcast? Because do we like last week's episode?
I don't think we did, or the weeks before. Yeah, we've had a kind of a downswing trend, I think, but maybe, just maybe, we'll pick it up again on our next episode.
Okay.
To do that, we're going to need the Wheel of Random.
Really?
Yeah, so why don't we give it a spin to see which season we're in? Ba-doop. Alrighty, we have season 14.
Season 14? You gotta be kidding me.
I kid you not. Let's give it another spin to see which episode we're watching. Ba-doop. Alright, we have season 14, episode 15. Now, Craig, what do you think the title of this episode is?
Like we do every episode now, we just assume that the title will be somewhat related to this episode. So, what animated women want, of course, a parody of the very movie, probably, I don't know, problematic movie, Mel Gibson movie, What Women Want, with Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Of its time movie, What Women Want. I think season 14, episode 15 is going to be no exception. It's going to be another Mel Gibson movie, parody title, and it's going to be titled Brave Bart.
Oh, that does sound good, but, and I would like to know what that is, but unfortunately we can't know. But that's actually not the title of the episode.
What?
Yes, I will have you know that the title of the episode is C.E. Doe, or possibly C.E. Annoyed Grunt.
Ah.
What do you think the plot of this story is?
All right, well, we all know that CEO is short for, of course, Chief Executive Officer.
Mm-hmm.
And so O sounds like Doe, so C.E. Doe, so it's Chief Executive Annoyed Grunt.
Oh.
And we all know that the Annoyed Grunt, the Doe, is associated with, checking notes, Homer. So I think the A story is going to involve Homer. And Homer becomes the new Chief Executive Officer of Moe's.
Whoa.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming.
No.
Because Moe decides to franchise Moe's. And Homer's in on it, becomes an investor with 51% share in the Moe's organization. So, of course, he's running the shots. And Moe's not having it because of all the wacky things Homer wants to do at the bar. So, of course, they have a conflict. And then, spoilers, in the end, Homer gives sells the 51 shares to Moe's, and Moe's doesn't franchise anymore or whatever, and it's back to the status quo. And in the B story, Lisa and Maggie plot to get Bart to lose his virginity.
Whoa.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
I didn't, and neither did they.
They're not doing it themselves. They're figuring it out.
Right.
They're probably going to use, Santa's will help.
Oh, God.
No, they're going to trick Milhouse. All right. That's probably not the plot, is it?
You're very close.
Okay.
So Homer enrolls in a How to Succeed in Being You course. and takes a new attitude towards work, where he makes suggestions to improve safety at the power plant. But when Burns laughs at Homer's proposals, Homer and Lisa devise a plan to help Bart lose his virginity, and to help Burns take the plant from him. So after being legally outmaneuvered, Burns signs his plant over to Homer, and Homer becomes a CEO. So, yeah, you're in the ballpark, but maybe not quite. You didn't get to fourth base like Bart did.
Okay.
But this episode was from March 16th, 2003, and written by Dana Gould.
That's Sir Dana Gould, Steve.
That's right. He's a king now.
Yeah.
Or a knight. But yeah, so that's the episode that we're going to watch next. We do hope that you listen, and hey, thanks very much for listening this week. If you want to reach out to us, you can do it on the socials at 138 Simpsons, like Instagram or YouTube or Threads. And you can always email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com.
And go to your podcatching app to leave us a voicemail. There's a scroll down there. You click on a button and let us know everything that you want to tell us. And then you also need to tell your fingers to type a review for this podcast, like on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star, whatever the equivalent is. But you don't have to actually write a real review. You could just tell us your way of attracting women.
Ooh, yes. And hey, if you want to look attractive, go to tpublic.com/user/annoyedgrunboy and get yourself some swag. And this is very exciting. They've got hats.
Hats?
You could have an Annoyed Grunt Boys logo on a hat.
Like a trucker hat?
Or a dad hat, if you're so inclined.
Hey, this is June. It's dads and grads this season. Get your dad an Annoyed Grunt Boy hat and get your grad an Annoyed Grunt Boy hat.
Yeah, maybe your grad is training to be a trucker, and so he needs a hat.
Or training to be a dad.
Exactly. Either way, we've got you covered, thanks to TeePublic and the Annoyed Grunt Boys.
Is it just one color hat, Steve?
It's all the colors of the rainbow.
Well, I like your logo and all, but that puppy guns is sure a funny logo. Is that going to be a hat?
It sure is, and you know what else is? Peanuts can kill.
Is everything just a hat now?
Everything's a hat now.
Yeah, everything used to be cake, but now it's a hat.
Yep, now there'll be a new Netflix show starring, I don't know, maybe Shasir Sameda. Is it hat?
Couldn't you, like a celebrity that's really famous for hats, wearing hats?
Oh, yeah. Pharrell Williams.
All right. We did it, Steve.
We did it. For this week, I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Steve.
And I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Craig.
And remember, I can't be the only one who likes this.
You can board my streetcar anytime.
Sheriff Andy took Barney in his arms and kissed him deeply, then said, "Now if Aunt B asks, we were down at the fishing hole."